Have your students ever struggled to make the connection between what they're doing in reading class and real reading? Have they ever mastered strategies and skills in your explicit instruction lessons, but then had trouble applying them when they're reading on their own or reading authentic literature? In this video, we're going to address how you can bridge that gap between explicit instruction and authentic literature. This is a great way to get your students engaged and excited about reading, and also to help them make the connection and start generalizing their skills when they're reading on their own. Hi, I'm Laura from Ascend Smarter Intervention, where we make research-based reading easy and accessible. Today, we're going to look at some activities that go along with the authentic text parallel as an example of how you can tie your instruction on the 5 core components plus writing to an authentic text. So we're going to take a look at some different activities to address phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, comprehension, and writing. Now, these activities are quick and easy and fun for students. You can use them in a whole group lesson, or you could use them as a center as you're working with other students in small groups. We'll go ahead and dive in first to some examples of activities that you could use to support phonological awareness that are also tied to the authentic text parallel. So the first activity we're going to take a look at is this rhyme sort game. And so students are going to be given this map that says, yes, rhyme, no, don't rhyme. And they're going to practice sorting little cards with either pictures that match the book or words that came from the book. We also like to have our students identify and isolate the first and last sounds in words. So we'll pick a couple of words from the text. For example, we might use the word brush and have them practice isolating that first phoneme. We give them options on these cards to help support them, scaffold them. You could also do this auditorially with your whole class if you wanted. You could give them a couple words like brush, shampoo, and have students practice isolating and identifying that first sound. Another fun way to support phoneme isolation or identification of that beginning sound is our beginning sound memory game. So we like to have students practice flipping over the cards, looking at the picture, determining the first sound, and then trying to find that letter that matches that first sound. This is quick, easy, the kids love it, keeps them super engaged during centers. Another activity you could use to practice syllable segmenting would be a syllable sort. So you can take pictures or words from the book and have students practice sorting them into 1 syllable, 2 syllable, 3 syllable, 4. Again, this is another activity you could do out loud with students. So you could pick a couple words from the book and have them practice clapping out the syllables or scooping those syllables. But it's a quick and easy way to tie your phonological awareness instruction to the authentic text. Another activity that we use is a phoneme segmenting activity. We have students practice stamping or marking off how many sounds are in a word prior to spelling it. So for example, we might use the word wig and have them tap out or mark off those sounds w, I, g, and then have them spell it on their paper. This helps students see the connection between phoneme segmenting and that spelling piece. So moving on to phonics. One thing that we often see with our students is that in explicit lessons where they're asked to look for a specific pattern, they're really good at identifying it. But then as soon as we pull out an authentic text, they have trouble generalizing those skills to reading words that they come across in a text. And so we like to draw their attention to those patterns, those letters, those syllable types as they read an authentic text. So we give our students a paper, we tell them we want you to look for a certain letter. So for example, we might say, we want you to look for the letter P. And then we have students look through the book, find that letter P, and write down any words they see with that letter. We would do the same thing if we were working on the phoneme AI, or if we were looking for closed syllables. It's just a great way to draw your students' attention to the fact that the things that they're learning in their phonics lessons are also coming up in authentic literature, and that those skills and those patterns can be really helpful when they're reading at home, on their own, in class, in math class, and that these skills aren't just isolated to your explicit phonics instruction. We also have a couple of quick vocabulary lessons that we like to do when we're reading authentic texts. So one example is having students identify parts of speech of words that they're coming across in the text. So for hair love, we might use the word bed, shampoo, and have them sort those words into nouns or verbs, or nouns, verbs, and adjectives. We typically use the nouns and verbs for our younger kiddos that are just getting into parts of speech, but for our students that are more advanced or need a little bit more of a challenge, we'll throw in adjectives as well. Another activity that we like to do is identifying categories. So we'll give students a few pictures or a few words and have them figure out the category that connects them all. We might even throw in a word that is not related and see if they can identify that. You can see in this activity that we designed to go along with Hair Love, they are looking for a word that doesn't belong, and then they're identifying the category that the other 3 pictures belong to. We also like to have our students start to recognize the relationship between words as they're reading. So we'll have them identify synonyms and antonyms that maybe came from the text or related to the text. We have them color those synonyms green and those antonyms red. We also have some fun and quick activities to support our students' fluency. One of those activities is the phonogram race. So we have students roll the die, move their piece to the grapheme, and say the sound that goes with that grapheme. And we usually tie this together with that authentic text by putting some sort of picture in, like, for example, with this activity, we put in a brush and then attaching some rule for the game to that picture. Again, just a fun way for students to practice those sounds, and just switch it up from what they're doing on a daily basis. Next, we have our students use the die to roll an emotion. So we pick a couple words from the text and we have them practice reading those words with a particular emotion. For example, if they roll 4, they might read the words as if they are enraged. But students really love this activity, and it's a really easy way to get them to start thinking about how their tone, their emotion can tie into how they read those authentic texts as well. Next, we're going to move into some activities to support your students' comprehension. For example, we have this direct recall activity in which students roll the die and answer the questions who or what, did what, when, where, and why. This starts helping your students to cue into the important information in a text that will eventually also help them to identify the main idea of a text. From there, we help them to organize the information from the text by looking at the sequence of events. And so we give them little pictures. You could also do this with sentences, and we have them sort them into that story arc so they can start to see how the events stack up and how they can organize the information from text. We can also use this as a nice retell activity. Students can look at those pictures and remember those key events that happen in the story. We also like to have them begin to identify the problem and the solution in stories. And so we'll have students write a sentence about the problem and write a sentence about the solution, and then draw a quick picture to go along with it. We also like students to start to make connections between events in the text and how they're correlated to one another. So another activity we do is we help them to see the cause and the effects in stories. And so we usually give them little pictures or sentences and have them sort them into the graphic organizer. You could also use a graphic organizer and have them write in the cause and effects. Lastly, we address writing. And so we do a couple of things with writing. We practice some spelling and we practice some sentence writing. So for spelling, we give them some pictures. Sometimes we'll give them some of the sounds and have them isolate sounds that are missing. Sometimes we have them write the words all on their own, depending on where they're at. But if you look at this example from Hair Love, we would have the students look at the word hat and think about, okay, we have the h and the t, what sound is missing there in the middle? And we'd have them fill in that missing letter A and then write the word. This is a great activity to help students to start connecting those phonological awareness skills with spelling. And lastly, we like to have opportunities for students to practice writing sentences. And so we have 2 different ways that we'll have students practice writing sentences to go along with the text. One of them is we'll give them some options of who or what, did what, that subject, and the predicate or did what. We'll also give them some suggestions for a when, where, why, or how, and then we have them use those to create the full sentence. Also, we'll give them boxes that just say who or what, did what, when, where, why, and have them fill in their own information and create their own sentence, just depending on where students are at and how much support and scaffolding they need. So again, these activities are just a great way to help students to start making that connection between authentic text and their instruction in the 5 core components of reading plus writing. We hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful. I'm going to link to a blog with some more information that you might be interested in the description below. If you liked this video, be sure to click like and subscribe to be the first to know when we post more videos like this with tips, tricks, and resources to support your students.